What would you risk for fame, your pride, your peace, or even your life? And when the lights go off and the likes stop coming, who will still be there for you? In today's story, we follow Nina, a young influencer from Lamashegu chasing internet stardom. But her desire to look perfect online will lead her down a dangerous path, one filled with tough choices, painful lessons, and a shocking twist that will leave you speechless. If you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional and powerful stories. And to all my amazing returning viewers, thank you for being part of this community. Hit the like button, share this video, and let me know where you're watching from in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts as the story unfolds. Now, let's dive into the story. Nina was 21 and already living the kind of life most girls only dreamed of. Or at least, that's what it looked like online. With over 300,000 followers on Instagram, her feed was a flawless blend of golden hour selfies, designer outfits, tropical vacations, and sponsored skincare routines. Every photo she posted got thousands of likes. Her comments were filled with fire emojis, OMG goals, smiling face with heart eyes, and fans begging for her makeup routine. Brands sent her free clothes, makeup, even plane tickets. She was building her name, gaining attention fast, and enjoying the kind of fame that felt almost addictive. But what no one knew, what she never posted, was how Nina felt when the phone screen turned off. Despite the praise, despite the perks, Nina looked in the mirror and saw all the things she wasn't. She'd fixate on her body, how her waist was small, yes, but her hips weren't wide enough. Her stomach was flat, but her butt? Not like the girls who were going viral. Not like the ones with millions of followers. Every scroll through Instagram made her feel just a little more invisible. The new influencers had curves. Hourglass bodies. The kind that made people stop and stare. The kind that got them brand deals with top-tier companies. And in her mind, the solution was simple. If she could just fix that one thing, if she could just get a Brazilian butt lift, she'd be unstoppable. More likes, more fame, more money. She told herself, I'm one surgery away from being perfect. But Nina didn't know that chasing perfection was about to cost her more than she could ever imagine. The more Nina posted, the more attention she got. But the more attention she got, the more the pressure started to build. She wasn't just an influencer anymore. She was a brand. And in that world, every angle, every pose, every pixel mattered. At first, it was subtle. A brand she loved didn't renew her contract. A campaign she was shortlisted for suddenly went another direction. She finally asked her manager why. The answer hit her like a slap. They said they're looking for someone, Kavya, more trendy. You know, that hourglass vibe. Nina laughed it off. But inside, she spiraled. She started comparing, obsessing, scrolling for hours through profiles of other influencers with exaggerated figures, thick thighs, cinched waists, and perfectly rounded hips. Her friends noticed the change. You're gorgeous already, they'd say. You don't need to change anything. But it didn't matter. Not when every sponsored post she lost felt like proof that maybe she did need to change. Not when every scroll through Instagram reminded her that her body didn't fit the new standard. She began following transformation pages, those before and after accounts. Girls who looked like her one year and like internet goddesses the next. Same face, same smile, just a little help from surgery. They all credited one thing, a BBL. That's when Nina discovered something that felt like fate. A clinic in Turkey that offered influencer packages, a full Brazilian butt lift, free luxury accommodation, airport pickup, and a discount if she agreed to promote them on Instagram. All she had to do was tag them in her transformation post. It sounded perfect. Too perfect. And even though something in her gut told her to slow down, Nina had already made up her mind. This is it, she thought. This is how I level up. She didn't realize she was about to risk everything, for a discount and a dream. When Nina told her friends she was going to Barcelona for a brand trip, they didn't question it. It made sense. She was always jet-setting, always working with fashion labels. Another glamorous getaway. But it was all a lie. The plane ticket she booked wasn't to Spain. It was to Istanbul. No one knew, not her friends, not her manager, not even her family. She didn't want to hear the lectures, the concern, the "Are you sure this is safe?" questions. This was her body, her decision, her dream. Still, as she sat alone in her seat, her phone on airplane mode and her heart racing, doubt began to creep in. She looked out the window, clouds blurring beneath her, and whispered to herself, "Just think of the after photo. The likes. The brand deals. This will all be worth it." But her stomach twisted with anxiety. When she landed in Istanbul, she expected a luxury welcome, like the ones shown on the clinic's Instagram stories. Instead, a man holding a paper sign with her name scrawled in pen waved her down. No smile. No uniform. Just a black van with tinted windows and no logo. The ride was silent. The driver didn't speak. Nina clutched her suitcase tighter with every turn down unfamiliar, winding streets. When they arrived at the clinic, her heart sank. It wasn't the sparkling modern building she'd seen online. The paint was chipped. The windows were dusty. The air inside was cold, not just the temperature, but the feeling. The receptionist barely looked at her. No one offered a tour. No friendly welcome. Just a clipboard, a few waivers, and instructions to wait in a dim, silent room. Nina sat down, suddenly unsure. But she told herself this was normal. That every transformation started with a little discomfort. "It's fine," she whispered. "It's just nerves. Everything will be okay." But deep down, she wasn't sure anymore. The next morning, Nina was called into a small, cold consultation room. She expected to meet someone warm, reassuring, maybe even glamorous, like the doctor she'd seen in TikTok surgery vlogs. But the man who walked in barely glanced at her. White coat. Quick steps. No smile. "Stand," he said flatly, motioning her toward a mirror. He circled her like he was studying a mannequin. Made a few comments in another language to the nurse. Pointed at her hips. Then her thighs. Scribbled something on a chart. Nina waited for questions. Maybe "How do you feel about this?" or "Are you ready?" But there was none of that. The whole consultation lasted under 5 minutes. He handed her a clipboard with several pages of documents, mostly in medical jargon. She stared at the lines, the small print, the bold warnings, but her hands were already shaking. Her chest was tight. "It's just routine," the nurse mumbled. "Standard form. Everyone signs." Nina didn't read a word. She just scribbled her name. As she walked back to her room, the doubt returned, stronger than before. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her reflection in the tiny mirror. Her mind raced. Is this normal? Why does everything feel off? Am I making a huge mistake? But then, she opened her phone and scrolled through her drafts folder. There it was, the caption she'd already written for her transformation post. They said I couldn't do it. So I became that girl. Kiss mark hashtag BBL journey hashtag glow up season. She imagined the likes, the brand deals, the jaw-dropped reactions, the new Nina. Just think of the after pics, she told herself. After this, everything will change. The next morning, they woke her up early. No breakfast, no explanations, just a paper gown and a nurse who didn't speak English. In the operating room, the lights were too bright. Machines beeped. Everything smelled like antiseptic and fear. The doctor appeared briefly. He didn't say a word to her. Then, a mask, a countdown, and darkness. A nurse and another doctor came to join them. They started the procedure to enlarge her butts and hips. She was already curvy but needed an enlargement to make her the Instagram goddess that she wanted to be. Nina woke up to a pain so sharp, so overwhelming, it stole the breath from her lungs. She gasped, her eyes fluttering open, but the room around her was a blur. Her body felt like it was on fire, especially her back and legs. Every movement sent waves of pain radiating through her spine. She couldn't tell if she was crying or if her body was just leaking tears on its own. She looked down as much as she could. Her body was swollen, massively swollen. Her thighs looked twice their size, her lower back was bandaged and bulging, and the tight compression garment dug into her skin like a vice. She pressed the call button. No one came. She cried out, weakly at first, then louder, panic creeping in with every minute. Hello, please. Someone. I'm in pain. Still nothing. Eventually, a nurse entered. She barely looked at Nina, just adjusted her fore and walked out without a word. Nina tried to ask questions. What happened? Was this normal? Where was the doctor? But the nurse ignored her, pretended not to understand. Hours passed. The room was silent, cold, and suffocating. Nina began to shiver. At first, she thought it was the AC, but soon she realized something was wrong. Her skin was hot to the touch. Her teeth began to chatter. Her vision blurred as sweat beaded on her forehead. A deep, relentless fever was setting in. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Her heart raced. Her stomach twisted. She cried again for help, this time louder, more desperate. Please. Something's wrong. I don't feel right. Still, no doctor. Just another nurse who peeked in, shook her head, and shut the door. Nina was alone. In a foreign country. In excruciating pain. And her body, her new body, was starting to feel like a prison. And something inside her whispered a terrifying thought. This isn't recovery. This is something else. 3 days after the surgery, Nina could barely stand. Her face was pale, her lips dry. The swelling had gotten worse, and the fever hadn't broken. The clinic had discharged her like nothing was wrong, sending her to a hotel room to rest. But nothing about her condition felt like rest. Her skin burned. Her head throbbed. Her body felt like it was falling apart from the inside out. That morning, she tried to get out of bed to go to the bathroom, and collapsed. Her legs gave out. She hit the floor hard. The room spun violently. Everything blurred into black and white. The hotel staff found her unconscious and called an ambulance. She woke up briefly in the back of a van, surrounded by strangers speaking a language she didn't understand. Machines beeped around her. Cold air filled her lungs through a mask. She tried to ask what was happening, but her words came out slurred, weak. Her vision flickered in and out. She saw white lights above her, people shouting, a needle going into her arm. Then nothing. When she came to, a doctor finally explained, through a translator, "You have sepsis, a severe infection in your blood. Your organs are shutting down." Nina couldn't process the words. Sepsis, organ failure, death. All she could think was, this wasn't supposed to happen. She had flown here to glow up, to go viral, to become the dream girl. But now she was lying in a foreign hospital, alone, hooked up to machines, and fighting to stay alive. No phone, no family, no friends, no manager, no camera. Just the sound of her heartbeat on the monitor, and the fear that it might stop. "I don't want to die," she whispered. And for the first time in a long time, it wasn't about likes, or beauty, or fame. It was just about surviving. Days passed. Nina was still in the hospital, weak, stitched, and bruised. Her body was recovering slowly, but her spirit was shattered. Every hour felt like a blur of 4 drips, blood tests, and lonely thoughts. Her face was bare. No filter. No makeup. Just the raw version of herself she had always tried to hide. She hadn't touched her phone until that morning. Something inside her shifted. She opened the camera, held it up with shaking hands, and hit record. There was no ring light, no angles, no rehearsed captions. Just her, crying, speaking straight from the edge of heartbreak. "I just wanted to feel beautiful," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I thought if I looked perfect, maybe I'd finally feel good enough. But I almost died." Tears streamed down her face. "They didn't tell me it could be like this, that a dream could turn into a nightmare so fast. Please, don't make the same mistake I did. Don't risk your life for a like. It's not worth it." She paused. "I don't even know if I'll ever look the same again. But I'm alive. And right now, that's enough." Nina pressed upload. No filter, no edit, just truth. Within hours, her video exploded across the internet. Her followers were stunned, shocked. Some were angry, others were heartbroken. Many were inspired. She had spent years showing them the highlight reel. But now, in her most broken moment, she was finally being real. And for the first time ever, Nina didn't care about the numbers. She just wanted to be seen for who she really was. Within 24 hours of posting her tearful hospital video, Nina's entire world changed. The clip, raw, shaky, and soaked in vulnerability, racked up over 1 million views overnight. It spread like wildfire, not just among her followers, but across the internet. People who had never heard of her were now glued to her story. News outlets ran headlines like, "Instagram influencer nearly dies from discount BBL in Turkey. Beauty at any cost." The truth behind viral BBL culture. She wasn't being praised for her style, her body, or her brand deals anymore. She wasn't the trendsetter with the perfect feed. She had become a warning. Talk shows debated her choices. Experts weighed in. Former patients reached out with similar horror stories. Some comments were cruel, calling her vain, stupid, reckless. But others were full of support, of heartbreak, of women saying, "I felt that pressure too." The clinic she went to, gone. They deleted their Instagram account completely, vanished like it had never existed. No apology, no accountability, just silence. But the damage was already done. And for Nina, the trauma didn't disappear with a vanished page. The betrayal, the pain, the near-death experience. It lived in her body, in every scar, every memory, every breath that reminded her she had survived what so many others didn't. She had chased a dream and almost paid with her life. Now the world was watching, but not because she was beautiful, because she was brave enough to show what beauty had cost her. The internet moved on quickly, but Nina couldn't. Even after the viral wave died down, the recovery was just beginning. Her body ached in places she didn't even know existed. The scars on her skin were nothing compared to the ones buried deep in her spirit. But she was alive, and that meant she had a second chance. She started therapy. At first, she hated how raw it felt, talking about her self-worth, her addiction to validation, her obsession with being liked. But week after week, the walls came down, and in that safe space, she began to understand why she had risked everything just to feel beautiful. She joined a support group, women who had gone through surgeries, trauma, and regret. Some had nearly died too. Some had lost friends. Some just wanted to be seen. And there, Nina found something she hadn't felt in years, real connection. Back home, she went through her phone and scrolled through the old photos, the overly edited selfies, the posed bikini shots, the fake smiles under designer shades. She stared at them for a long time, and then she deleted them. She unfollowed every account that made her feel like she had to change to matter. And slowly, she started over. This time, her posts weren't about angles or filters. They were messy, real, human. Some days she looked radiant. Some days she looked tired. But every post was honest. "This is what healing looks like," she wrote. Unfiltered, unfollowed, unapologetic. She didn't need validation from strangers anymore. She had found her voice. And for the first time in her life, it was hers. Nina's transformation wasn't just skin deep. After facing her darkest moments, she chose to rebuild herself, this time on her own terms. No longer chasing perfect photos or viral likes, she stepped up as a speaker on body image and mental health. She shared her story at schools, events, and online, urging others to look beyond the filters and the facades. Determined to make a difference, Nina launched a foundation dedicated to surgery safety awareness, a resource for anyone considering cosmetic procedures. Through workshops, support groups, and educational campaigns, she worked to ensure that no one would feel pressured to risk their life for fleeting validation. In every talk, in every interview, her message was clear and unwavering. Don't trade your life for likes. You are already enough. With those words, Nina reclaimed her power, proving that true beauty lies in honesty, self-love, and the courage to be real. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. Turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.